Thanks, man.
You got it. You got it.
Let's hear it for Tom. Yeah. So thanks for coming out tonight. I'm one of those people who had a little bit of a hard time fitting in, but I feel like I had more challenges than some people, like my parents kind of got lost and I ended up being born in Houston, Texas instead of Korea. And, worse yet, they brought me up religious, which means in Texas I was brought up Southern Baptist. Any of you folks Southern Baptists? No? Okay.
Not anymore.
Oh, very shyly.
Not
Used
anymore.
to be. Not anymore. Neither am I. But, it's like, in case, you're from New York, you don't really know what that means. They're the kinds of people who think that rock and roll is the music of the devil. And they didn't need the pandemic to figure out that the proper distance when dancing is 6 feet apart. But, I have these terrible memories, and I think, are these real? Because they seem so traumatic, right? And I'm just like, I don't know about this. But then I had to go get a visa, and I had to get my birth certificate from the state of Texas. And I was like, oh, I'm kind of curious. What did they put for my race or color? And I looked in that little box, and I thought, they might do something a little bit offensive to us, like Oriental, or that maybe they were as accurate as Asian, but no, they didn't do that. They just had the word yellow. But, I feel like I got off easy. I feel like with the current administration, Trump would just say, he's a chink. But, I love white people. I love white people, but I especially love my white people. And you may be wondering, what's he talking about? And, of course, I'm talking about Koreans who think they're white. You take my brother. He drives a Ford F-150 pickup truck, married a white woman who already had a daughter. Now had 2 kids, and now they're divorced. He likes guns, and he votes for Trump. So, basically I'm telling you he's a racist, misogynistic Southerner who's just ethnically Korean. And then you take my mom, and I really don't try to talk to her about politics, but I had to ask her, Mom, how come in every election you vote for Trump? And you know what she told me? She's like, I feel like he's fighting for me. And I'm just like, this little 80-year-old Korean woman living in Oklahoma, right? So I'm just like, how do I explain to her that as far as she's concerned, MAGA just means make Asians go away? But, one of the problems I had growing up was I didn't fit in with my own kind, because growing up in Houston, Texas, my parents sent me to this weird school where I had mass every day. And when I started kindergarten, I started learning Highland dancing. And so I was like, well, that's odd. And then when I got to 3rd grade, I got to choose a musical instrument, which was not the canonical musical instruments that Asians teach their kids. I had either a choice of the drums or the instrument that I took, which was the Scottish bagpipes. And, it was pretty confusing, You meet a cute Korean girl and you're like talking to her. She really isn't interested in how you run around in a skirt on the weekends. But, I think at that point, my parents decided I was really killing it as that funny yellow boy blowing on the pipes in Texas. Because we moved to Iowa. And I was like, oh, wow. I thought I knew what white people were like, but my God, just a sea of white when I get to to Iowa. And I'm like, I had to come up with ways of distinguishing them. Oh, those are German whites. Those are British whites, Irish whites, Polish whites, I felt kind of like a Native American. They supposedly have 200 words for the color blue. But, it's a little bit hard to have that experience in New York. But because most rooms, this room's diverse. But, I actually managed to achieve that for my wife one day when I decided to get tickets to a concert. And we went to Madison Square Garden, and I look around and I realize there are 20,000 white people in here with me. And it's a little bit spooky. I'm kind of like, did I accidentally go to a white supremacist rally? But then, everybody's in a good mood and really friendly and everything like that. The music starts, and then Billy Joel came out and sang Uptown Girl, so it was all good. But anyway, the fact is that my day job is I'm a doctor, And yeah, thank you. The only thing is, I kind of hate doctors, actually. They're just so annoying. Like, if you ever go to a party of doctors, it's really literally the worst kind of party to go to. My wife's an attorney. I've been to a lot of lawyer parties. They're not great, but they're a lot more fun. And I think it's partly because doctors like to talk about just two things. They like to talk about malpractice, and they like to talk about money, either because they want money or they're spending their money, which is, I think, how I ended up on a urologist boat once. And it was actually kind of it was a nice day, breeze is coming, sun's coming down, and I'm kind of enjoying myself. But then I start cringing when I think about the name of the boat, which was the Golden Stream 2. And I'm like, who names their prized possession after some stinky body fluid, right? And then what does he call his kids for their nicknames? Come here, poo-poo. I mean, you know. But anyway, I've been around for a while. I've been married now for 32 years, so I don't know much about the dating scene. Yeah, thank you. My wife is over here. And, but I do have some young friends, and they're, we have a few people in their 20s here, right? So I hear everybody's, I don't know, maybe Gen Z is rejecting the apps. I don't know. Gen Z is doing everything different nowadays. But anyway, most of the people are on the apps. That's how people find each other. And I'm like, and people are telling me these stories, and they're always saying terrible things about the apps. The apps really suck. But, I kind of wonder if that's really true, because I hear their stories, like somebody, like he was supposed to show up, then he never did. And I'm like, well, that sucks, yeah. Or like somebody had a great first date, thought it went really well, reaches out to the woman, and she ghosts him. So I'm just like, I don't know that this is the app's fault. I just think that it's the same problem we've always had. It's just that people suck. But unless you find true love like Joshua. So anyway, the other day I was listening to public radio, and there was a relationship expert on there, and they were pointing out that for college-educated women, reality is going to be hitting, because there are way more women in college than men. And so if these women who graduate from college are looking to be married to college-educated men, a lot of them are going to go short. So he had advice for these women. He said, you got to think lower and younger. So why not go for that plumber with a cute butt? He's got to get a pretty good paycheck, right? And then he advised that you should think younger, because maybe a younger guy is a little bit more comfortable having a more accomplished partner. So for the guys in the room who didn't do so well in school, maybe didn't quite finish, you still got hope. Just get on your best shirt, your good jeans, get to yourself to a bar, and just wait for your sugar mama to pick you up. But I was reading about a poll where 1,000 Gen Zs and millennials were asked about their attitudes about social media. I feel like we're constantly hearing about this is the end of the world with social media. And this poll kind of gave you some evidence. They found out that more of these people, more of these 1,000 young people, recognize pictures of a guy with a handle Pootie Pie than recognize LeBron James. And then when they were asked, 10% of them consider themselves influencers, and then 50% of them want to be influencers. So, maybe it is the end of times. But, I just think, I don't know about you, but I think of influencers as those people when you're on vacation and you want to everybody wants to take a picture in the same spot, like with the same scenic thing and the backdrop and everything like that. And there's always a line nowadays, right? Because there's always somebody taking little pictures of themselves and looking at, man, that's not good enough. It's not good enough for my Instagram. And, I have to make a confession here, because my friends tell me that I have to accept that I'm an influencer myself at this point, because I have over 750,000 followers on Instagram. So I thought the next time I go to one of these things, I'm going to go up to her and I'll say, how you doing? You're taking up a lot of time. How many followers do you have? 10,000? That's really great. Now get the hell out of my way. You know, I've been in New York for almost 40 years now, so that makes me a really cranky old New Yorker at this point who thinks he knows it all. And one of the things I noticed the other day was I was on the subway and I almost got knocked over by somebody with their huge backpack. And I'm like, this is really annoying. This didn't happen back in my day. We thought we were just too cool to put both straps on. You know, we would sling a backpack over one shoulder. We didn't knock people over with these things. And, you know, I guess you Gen Z people, you're not drinking, you're not having sex, and you learn how to properly load distribute your backpacks. But, you know, this is the thing. Take them off when you're in a crowded place like the subway, okay? Because either that or you better sleep with one eye open. So one of the nice things about getting old also is that I now have grown children who are thoroughly embarrassed by all my style choices. You know, I had my daughter yell at me the other day. She was like, "Dad, why are you wearing a pair of Yeezys? They don't work for you." And I was like, "Honey, they're working perfectly. I got them to piss you off." But, you know, they can't stand any of the things I do. For example, this necklace that I have around my neck, they're kind of like, people are like, they can't stand that I wear this. And then, you know, I have to admit, a lot of people ask me questions about it and wondering what it's for. So I kind of had to come up with the story. So I tell people, like, you know what? It's the center of my soul. And people would look at me like, I don't think he's serious. But no one ever challenges me because, you know, they're really worried that they'll get accused of being racist for not knowing my Asian religion. But then, you know, the funny thing is no one ever believes me when I show what it's really for. Exactly. That's it. That's my time tonight.
Thanks, brother. Good job.